Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown for the week 6th of September 2014. This video is game number 2 in the best of 7 series played between Mitoe and Nightbr for this event, and damn was it good. This match is just sick, so definitely worth watching. There is that. Once again, it will be casted by ZutaZuta, and I will be joining him as cocaster. So if you don't have any idea why that is, or what this event is, or who the people are in all of this, then you should probably watch the first 20 seconds or so of game number 1, where there is a full explanation. Links are in the description. Right, so I'm now going to turn on the scoreboard, so if you don't want to know the results of the previous match, then close this video now. Aside from that, the civilization rules for this event, we'll go over them now. It is essentially the same as Challenges of the New World. Basically, every time you win a game, you will no longer be allowed to use the civilization that you won that game with, meaning that you will have to select a different civ. So, speaking of selecting civs, since Nightbr won the previous game, he has to pick his civilization first for this game, and once he's done that, Mitoe can then go ahead and choose afterwards, which does sort of give him a slight advantage, as it sort of allows Mitoe the possibility to engineer himself some sort of favourable matchup. So, yeah, the winner of the previous match picks his civ first, then afterwards the loser picks. That is the rule. So, that is everything. Enjoy the video. Absolutely. The matchup is French versus Japan.
This is like probably my favorite matchup in the game.
It's great. It's like France has this power. It's really good, France, right? Early on, because you get you start with 6 Carreras. That's really strong, right? It's actually, no, you start with 5 Carreras, which is the equivalent of 6.25 villages. So you immediately get extra villages off the bat. You get a 3 Carrera shipment, which is just innately better. Same for 4 Carreras. And that means like your crossbow pike rush, if indeed that is what you want to do, can actually be really, really strong and can overwhelm Japan. Japan is actually trash in the early game. It's really, really bad. Like, you don't have that 3 villages shipment, so you end up having to send, like, Heavenly Kami, which is, you know, I mean, obviously it's really good if you combine it with your Portuguese conjugate. Wow, I said that wrong. But you know what I mean. You get the cheaper shrines, and you can combine it with the Shogu shrine, and you get this really nice shrine boom going on. But actually, in the early game, you are very vulnerable. And that, like, power that French has, if they can use that and overwhelm you early game, then that's where it is. As Japan, you're trying to defend that. But if you can get to that point where you stabilize and can get over, and then your boom starts to kick in, it's just, I really enjoy those kind of like critical time matchups, which I would sort of describe this as being, if that sort of makes sense.
Yeah. One thing also that I do want to point out along those lines is traditionally also what makes French very, very strong is the fact that they can get a market before basically all other civs in the game in every situation. The market has spawned as the random economic building on this spawn of Sag, which has allowed Mitoe to use his starting 200 wood instead as a trading post. So not only is he going to have the market and the market upgrades, he's also going to have a trading post as well. Now there is the trade-off that Nightbr gets a market as well, which means he gets his first berry gathering upgrade very early. He can potentially get his first wood gathering upgrade very early as well. But this is scary for French. Like,
it's France with market upgrades and a trading post. Like, I'm talking about critical mass here. Like, what? Wow. And he's finding a 95 wood treasure down in the bottom of the map. That's, if he is going to crossbow pike rush, I'm not saying that's necessarily what he will do. It's not always the best. It certainly is an option. But that's basically steel traps as well. Like, pretty much for free, he's going to be able to get those batches of units out of the barracks on time with steel traps, with a trading post, and wow, this is going to be pretty tough, I suppose. If you just look at it like that. I mean, obviously, the Japanese guy does have a market as well.
Yeah. I would predict with probably about 90% certainty an Expo Pike Rusher out of Mitoe. There's really no reason for him not to at this point.
Well, when we're on the topic of build orders, I was speaking to Blackstar yesterday, or was it the day before that, and I kind of called him out as being one of the best players currently, like obviously currently, like but you know, he stopped playing for a bit, so perhaps he's not. I mean, obviously you've got your good players who are genuinely very good at the game, but a lot of them aren't in practice. They're a lot a bit out of shape, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Blackstar was telling me he's got a build order he likes to do. Obviously like a 14 village rage up as normal, but you have your double barracks, and you actually make musks. You obviously send 700 wood for houses. You obviously you're building your 2 barracks out of the 400 wood. You ship your 4 vills, but and you're sieging down shrines, right, with your musketeers. And most of the time, Japanese goes with Yumi, and that's quite good against musks. So they'll sort of come out, try and stop you from killing their shrines down. But you ship, you know, with the 700 wood you sent, you build a stable, you get 5 cav, and you send the 3 cav just after your 4 vills. So you have 8 cavalry, just as they're sort of coming out to defend their shrines, and you can trap all of their Yumis with these 8 cav and your musketeers. What do you think, if you follow my logic?
I've played against that particular build from Blackstar. If people recall, when I was at Microsoft streaming a couple of weeks ago, several weeks ago, I guess now, on a Wednesday, I played Blackstar in this particular matchup, French versus Japan. And we actually had a really close, like, long 26-minute game that eventually ended up with him in Fortress. And although he still did win, he won because of Falconets in Age 3, which is kind of another issue that Japan has to deal with, but that's a completely different topic.
Yeah, completely. Still a problem.
But I felt like when I was playing against that, I felt like I would have been dead a lot earlier had he gone Expo Pike. That's just my 2 cents as a Japanese player. I don't think it's inherently wrong or inherently bad. It's something that's different, and I mean, people have different play styles. I, in general, prefer to go some sort of Ashi, Nagi in almost every situation with Japan, where some people like to turtle up like Night BR is doing here and try and go Yumi instead.
I've seen him stream a lot. He does this a lot when he scouts crossbow pike or some sort of early aggression, and this is going to be quite nice. It's going to stop. I think we can be pretty sure Mitoe is going to be crossbow pike in here. This wall is going to stop him to an extent. It is, however, quite a large wall, which is very expensive. Perhaps that will stunt his boom a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, the barracks is going down. We don't see a terrible amount of... it looks like I'm dropping frames like crazy. Hopefully that goes away.
Yeah, I can always pick the stream back up if you do drop out. You'll have to give me the stream key, though, for that.
Yeah, or perhaps we'll just have to restart after this game.
Is it alright?
Yeah, I'm just going to actually pause the game quick.
Hey, are you able to do that?
I think we're ready to try again.
Yes.
Alright.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go. Unpausing the game now, and we're back in the game. So.
And here we have 10 crossbowmen right out of the barracks coming in up towards this shrine here. 5 Yumis just popping out there, but these crossbowmen looking, they're like, oh, how do I get in? I'm not going to be able to do any damage. I want to shoot the villagers on the shrines, I mean on the cherry orchards, but he's really not going to do that. Taking quite a few shots there from the Yumi archers, losing a crossbowman, basically like a two crossbowmen sort of in terms of HP, but not actually. 10 more crossbows coming out there, so 20 crossbows. What do you think? They're finding it hard to get in. It feels almost pointless.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, so Knight has some really good stuff going for him, right? I mean, he's obviously got the walls up, which are going to buy him quite a bit of time. He's also got the fishing boats fishing away, which are going to be some very nice economy.
What the hell? Wait, was that like... was that 5 shipment? What is that?
So he shipped 5 fishing boats, and he's made the 3 from the consulate as well.
Oh right, okay, from the Portuguese consulate. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, like, there's going to be a lot of pikes here now, and so although he does have a decent amount of Yumis, there's just so many units out. He might just lose the Tsuga Shrine to these 10 pikemen. Which I think is the right call here from Mitoe. Sure, he's trading his crossbow, losing a lot of them, but at the other hand, if the Tsuga Shrine goes down, I mean, I think Japan's shrine boom is effectively dead. So
it's definitely less good. I mean, that shrine in itself is a nice big shrine. It has population as well, but also the bonus it gives to the other shrines, as you're saying.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty bad. He's building a wall behind it. He doesn't want his opponent to get in.
Right, and that's all well and good, but now that, I mean...
He hasn't been booming as well because of this wall. I mean, that is an expensive wall if you look at it.
Right, he's at 90 shrine pop. currently, minus the obvious shrine pop that the big shrine gives. But at the same time, like, I don't know. It's just he's just playing a waiting game. I always feel like Japan needs to like get out of their base at some point in the fairly early getting on of the game. Like if you can't get out of your base and you can't like secure a little bit of map control just by like fighting with your army and winning a fight in this matchup, then the economy of France just gets like too out of control. Like he can pick up more TPs. He can, get out on the map and start sieging down your shrines. And by not being able to get out on the map to be able to do that, I feel like he's just kind of setting himself up for, just being further and further behind.
I'm looking at the all resources gathered thing that A's has built in here, and their food counts are actually fairly even. I mean, Mitoe is 500 food up overall, and about 1,500 wood up as well, but I think that's down to the shipments more than it is his economy. So at this point, in terms of all total resources gathered, I don't think Japan is doing that badly.
Right, but he's only had the big shrine, down now for a very short amount of time.
That's true, actually. That's the longer the game goes on.
And if we take a look at the shipments that Mitoe has been sending now, Spice Trade coming as his next card, certainly does have, the TPs still up and available to him. So it still makes me nervous. I would like to see like these pikes. Oh, perfect. These pikes are going out, and this is when it gets really frustrating. This is where I mentioned like he needs to be able to get out of his space. If you take a look at where the Yumis are currently standing and how far away from being able to defend the shrines he actually is.
Yeah, those pikes are just gonna tear everything down.
Right,
and he's stuck in his base.
And he's stuck in his base, and so that's why I've been going Cav Musket quite often in this matchup. And why I think it's better, just because if you don't get out of your base and you allow the French player just to run around with 5 or 10 pikes and siege down all your shrines while you just trade Yumis for crossbows, you're just going to find yourself further and further behind, which I think is effectively what's going to happen in this game. I think essentially by the time Knight maybe has a big enough massive Yumis to actually get out of his base, I think by that time most of the wow, this is strange. I don't know why this happens. But I think by the time that happens, I think most of the shrines will be dead, and as a result, I don't know.
His economy will be nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll
and you look at the direction this French player's taken. He's gone set. Obviously, was that just 600? What did he even send 700 wood? Yeah, of course he did. 700 wood, 600 wood, followed by 8 crossbow. So really, really strong aggression. Followed up by 4 vills, spice trade. The recovery you often go down after your rush.
Yeah.
And it's just that looks really nice at the moment. He's got his economy, and he's adding in another trading post here is likely to get the upgrade. French economy looking really good, whereas Japan currently losing a lot of shrines. Though he is sort of winning the fight here, if you look at it.
I mean,
he is now starting to be able to get.
This is the critical time. I mean, if we take a look at what's going on, Mitoe has 2 trading posts, and he also has the resources to be able to age. I fully expect him to age here within the next 2 seconds. There he goes, and now the clock is ticking for Knight. He needs to do several things. He needs to get out of his base. He needs to pull together an army that can effectively somehow deal with a 2 Falconet shipment.
Yeah.
Ideally, he'd like to be able to kill these barracks, maybe kill the trading posts, all before the 2 Falconets and the skirmishers and dragoons can like start to really pile onto the space. And
he's going up to Fortress Age, the correct thing to do here. I mean, obviously he's gone up with Age up fast. He's going to be able to recover the investment pretty quick, but he looks like he could lose his forward here, and obviously that's a large infrastructure investment, not only in wood, but you have to replace it as well, which takes time.
I don't think he'll actually lose both of the barracks. I think he'll probably lose one of the barracks, maybe at best. I mean, he does have a card ready, and I have to assume that's 2 Falconets coming.
We see the 2, what is it, the galley sort of equivalent for Japan being shipped. They're going to come in and definitely use their bombard attack, which is going to tear down the buildings and also prevent really any units from being in this area. Their boats in this game are so strong against military land units, but sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Falconets are going to come here. I have to assume Falconets are shipping right now. And when those do come, it kind of cuts down on the effectiveness of the boats. He is going to get both of the barracks as a result of that. But
That's really nice for him. Perhaps do you think going up to Fortress is the right thing to do here? Because it certainly doesn't look like it.
it's hard. I personally would have prolonged the game continued, especially after he got the big shrine down. I would have just looked to continue the game in the second
And
age.
he had such a nice economy, like, well, with Spice Trade, the 4 builds, obviously investing on the TPs, on the land. Just keep doing that. Keep playing Age 2. Keep the map control. Keep tearing down the shrines. I think maybe Fortress wasn't such a good move here. Obviously, though, that the investment of Fortress is, he's got these Falconets up now. He will be able to train those Fortress Age units. So the investment is still good, sort of, but it looks like, since he lost the forward, and for the reasons I just mentioned, perhaps Colonial could have been better. Adding a huge wall here on Night BR.
Yeah. I think I would have at least mixed in like 5 Hussar to try and limit how effective the Yumi's pushing out. I mean, he traded up his crossbows for the Yumi's, which I think is okay, but I think he could have at the same time invested like at least a little bit of that gold into like 5 Hussar, tried to like catch a little bit of a flank with those, and then maybe aged and more efficiently traded with the Yumi than he did. Still, if we take a look at Night BR's resources remaining, soon he's going to run out of gold, which is going to be a bit awkward. He is aging, by the way, but soon he's going to run out of gold. And I think if Mitoe knows that and can just sit on top of this gold mine and not allow him to really gather gold, I guess Night BR has preemptively switched his 8 fishing boats onto the whales, which I think is a very intelligent thing to do. It does give him a little bit more time in terms of his gold, but at the same time, he has to be able to push out, be able to gather from this gold mine, and at the same time, like, not die to 2 Falconets, which is not going to be the easiest.
That is a problem.
Yeah, it's not going to be the easiest.
As we mentioned earlier, Falconets are another problem Japan faces.
Yeah, and at the same time, Mitoe's still being very smart with his pike, sieging what remains of these shrines out here on the middle of the map. Night BR doing an okay job of like trying to rebuild them, but at some point, Mitoe's villagers at the very least are going to spot them and going to be able to continue to abuse the fact that he can gather hunts and he knows where the shrines are and be able to siege them down.
Absolutely.
What the hell? I guess we have a fort wagon coming here. That's
fort wagon. Oh wow, that's
interesting.
I guess it sort of secures the water there as well as a coin mine, but it's sort of vulnerable to these boats.
Yeah, let's see if it actually gets up.
They don't have a lot of range forts. I mean, towers are actually a lot better on the coast. Forts are lacking in range. This is an interesting shipment. Like, is it going to go down again? Sort of like the way the barracks did. And by the way, perhaps, Fortress Age was the right decision. It's just on this map, because you can ship boats, maybe you don't build your forward base right on the coast there. You do actually build it slightly below.
Yeah, maybe closer to the TPs, yeah. This is going to be close.
And then he wouldn't have lost them, perhaps.
I think it's going to get up. I mean, he's used all the bombard attacks from the ships, right? So I think it's at least going to get up. It's going to be really low HP, though. At the same time, the 2 Falconets continuing to pound away on the town center here as well.
Yeah, here we can see obviously that 1 Falconet taking shots from the town center, and I suppose a couple of... I don't think the Yumi's... Oh no, there's a flaming arrow there. That's what they're taking damage from. I was thinking once he can get one of the Falconets down, he can sort of rush in there and just absolutely annihilate the other one with all of his units. But actually here, the flaming arrows doing work. They do have more range than the Falconet. They are able to take them out there. There's an absolutely staggering amount of Japanese units there and has overwhelmed the French player. The score at this point is favouring Night BR, and obviously we can see on the face of the map that he has a nice mass there, and I think he actually is at this point ahead.
That was actually a pretty nice play by Knight. He ran his daimyo out front of his army right when the flaming arrows were going to pop to make sure his flaming arrows were in range of the Falconets and were able to actually save his town center as a result of that. That was actually a pretty smart play by him. And as a result, he's also going to get this fort down. I think
he's overcome the early game, which Japan can often have troubles with, and he's overcome these Falconets just here. And now he's looking really good. Going to take down that fort. That's a 1,000 resource investment if you think about it. If he sent a different shipment, that fort really hasn't done anything this game. So he's sort of a shipment behind.
Yeah, I think he's won. I don't know if French can.
Anything could happen though. It seems...
The one last thing that I was somewhat concerned about was whether or not Knight BR would be able to get to a second gold mine. And with where his army is sitting right now, I think we can both agree that he has secured probably a second and a third gold mine as well. So that no longer looking like it's going to be an issue. He is losing shrines left and right. He has been forced to rebuild many of his shrines in poor positions up here to the north side of his base. Despite all of that, his Yumi Archer count is godly right now, and that is
great. That's something huge. Yumi's really efficient the later the game goes on with the obviously Japanese. Oh, five cuirassiers popping out. I don't think there's enough though. The stable going down. They did pop out just before the stable went down. So stroke of luck for Mitoe there. Anyway, I was saying Yumi Archer is very efficient in terms of damage once they've got the upgrade from both, the Daimyo Veterancy, which isn't called Veterancy, from Japanese Consulate, and maybe even the cards that you can send. Is he going to take this fight?
Yeah, I think even with the curse out here, I think he still just smashes his way through this fight.
Maybe not timing it too well either. Those 3 cures shipment not sort of arriving or engaging at the same time as the 5 cures. But even if that was the case, he's going to take down the flaming arrow with the area damage there, which is good. And obviously those flaming arrows aren't going to be doing damage to his infantry now. But it looks pretty desperate now, bringing in the Carreras to do damage.
Yeah, there are way too many Yumis out here. Smartly using his couriers to tank here a little bit, but at the same time, if we take a look at the shipments and just the efficiency that was there for Knight in that fight, he had Yumi Archer attack, wave the bow, which is a 15% HP increase.
Very efficient.
Plus the Daimyo as well. So 3 upgrades on those Yumis, plus the veterancy status, absolutely huge. And as a result, Knight going to be able to push out and I think secure this win. I don't know what can really go on. And I saw that as well. It's not actually muted.
Okay.
It's not.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't think Mitoe can recover. I mean, if we do consider the fact, he's been hunting this whole time as an advantage for him, at this point in the game, it's actually, it's certainly a disadvantage. If you look at where he's forced to gather with from his villagers, a very exposed position.
Not too good. I do honestly think, though, those 2 Raxes he lost? What if he had just stayed colonial? What if, he had 4 vills, he had spice trade active, he had complete map control and was able to tear down all of those shrines, stay colonial, keep the pressure up, maybe go fortress a bit later on.
Yeah, I think the Fortress Age play was a bit rushed. I don't think he really needed to age up in that situation.
And do you think perhaps that was the tide's turning, so to speak?
Yeah, I think 5 Hussar, maybe even 10 Hussar would have been the nail in the coffin for Japan at that point. And he decided to age instead. And I mean, that's kind of just shows kind of how dynamic this game can be.
Oh, wow.
At times.
He's got a lot of Falconets out.
Yeah, he did get out 4 Falconets, which is going to be nice, but I don't think it's going to be really that important. All his bills are dying and stuff. And
yeah, I noticed that just there down in the south.
Yeah.
And not only are they dying, they can't gather there now. That's a hunt spot that he can't use.
His gold mine is running out as well. So I mean, essentially his eco is going to come to a screeching halt here in the next 30 seconds, and I don't think there's much. I mean,
having said that though, look at the score. He's not hugely far behind. I mean,
he just got oh my god, the volley. The volley is real.
Oh, look at they're so low hit points. If you hold the ult bar, just another cannon of volleys, the entire group is just gonna fall over. It doesn't look as bad as we're making it out.
I still think
cannons doing work.
We do have to consider the Tsuga Shrine did go down.
Speaking of that, what if he placed it not on the front, behind his base where it's safe?
I would almost always put it out front just because the alternative is that being your town center, your barracks or something going down, which is even more detrimental to your
but he had the wall completely up. Keep it safe behind a wall, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, you were saying about the shrine. I think you're going to elaborate on the economy.
not having the shrine is pretty huge. And if we look at this might get tough for Knight. He's gotten a bit sloppy with his cherry orchard placement.
Why is it there? What?
Well, he just doesn't. He doesn't have
require so much unnecessary space.
Yeah, he doesn't have any room left, and it's going to come down to his spell control. Cav coming in from all sides is going to be able to do some pretty decent damage, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite enough.
These Ashies, sorry, these Yumis might as well be Arrow Knights as well now. It's just, it's not enough. It was a short-lived sort of comeback. He got a nice positioning, or perhaps Knight was out of position, so to speak, and a nice volley of cannon shots, and we got very excited about it. Villagers coming in again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to matter.
No. Do you think an interesting point is, I feel as if maybe Knight BR was able to achieve what he did because just on water maps, Japan is innately stronger. You get that 5 fishing boat shipment. You get three villagers essentially from your consulate that you can send. Is that a thing?
Yes and no. So, I mean, he did ship... So, I mean, he played it smartly for the style that he played, right? So, I mean, he played this, like, defensive... wall-uppy style, which is not the style that I usually go with.
No.
But, like, so, I mean, he sent the 3 fishing boats very early, which helps his early game economy, but slows down his potential 7 Bestiero shipment as well.
That's true. It
so
costs export, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're being pressured, you're going to want those Bestiarios. A lot of the time, you're kind of thinking, am I going to get enough export to get these Bestiarios out so I can actually hold this pressure?
Correct. And so based on his strategical choice of playing, you know, this wall defensive build, it ended up actually working out okay for him. So obviously losing the Teshuga, I think Mitoe had the game won, to be honest. And then he decided to age instead of make 10 SR.
Yeah, exactly that. It was so close, though. Again, we've had 2 absolutely great games out of these guys. Get them back next week. Well, you can't, obviously, but...
It's up to them. I mean...
you want to... Like, winner stays on is quite a nice way to do things, I think.